Good morning and welcome to the February 1st meeting of the Barnstable County Board of Regional Commissioners. And we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And please join me in a moment of silence while we remember all of those who have served here and abroad, and especially those who have given their lives to our country. Thank you. We have an interesting meeting this morning. We're going to begin doing some brief business items, and then we're going to move on to a tour of this facility. For those of you at home, you may notice that the scenery is a little different, and that's because we're in the old jail building and the newly renovated conference room, which we find to be very nice and appropriate for conducting the county's business. In fact, we like it so well, we might decide to just stay here on a permanent basis.
We have to be careful that people don't think that we've gone to jail.
Oh, well, that's very true.
Right?
The old jail.
The old jail.
Right. So I guess we can begin with public comment, if there's anyone here who would like to speak on public comment. If none, then
I would move that we approve the summary of actions.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll second it. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. 2 unanimous votes.
Anything on the minutes?
And yes, and vote to approve the minutes of the previous
Okay, I'll
meeting.
move to approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
And I'll second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
Wait a minute. Can you vote on that? Were you here at the last meeting?
The last meeting was, yes. Yeah, these minutes
I
are.
think everybody was,
Yeah, it was the ones before.
All right, then we're good. Great.
And I didn't, we voted the summary, but I didn't have any questions on it at all.
Neither did I.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess that takes care of business. Right?
Yeah, we're going to have the budget discussion, but we'll come back to that after we
Yeah,
finish the
I
tour.
have sort of a draft
Yeah, why don't-
final.
Okay.
So-
Do you want to make your report now while we're sitting here?
Sure, I just wanted to mention that hopefully you received, and I'm not really sure if you did, a summary of the AmeriCorps MLK Day.
Yes, we did get that.
And it was, I thought from Darlene, it was an excellent report on some of the MLK Day highlights that they took this year. So hopefully you got that. And then I was going to talk a little bit about the budget.
Before we leave that, I wanted to mention something. I was at the No Place for Hate meeting in the town of Barnstable yesterday, and one of the members brought up the point that after the holidays are over, the food pantries are very low on food. So, and I was surprised, but because apparently there's a big movement to stock up during the holidays. But after the holidays, now that we're in the middle of the end of January, they are looking for food and donations. And all the food pantries at this point have lists of nutritious, potential, donations. So we can move beyond tuna fish, and so people should be aware of that this would be a good time if they're so inclined to help the food pantries out.
Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention, and Bill just gave me his, and Robin, our payroll administrator, is working on putting all these together for us. Is I think it's every 2 years you have to be given a copy of the conflict of interest law. And there's a little receipt thing at the bottom, and the employee has to sign the little receipt, give it back to us, and we keep it on file. So we're working on compiling all that. So if you haven't been asked to do that yet, you will be, and we'll be collecting those little receipt packages.
I think we also have to do those for the state. I think it's by March.
No, that's the disclosure.
That's the financial
That's
disclosure.
right.
Disclosure.
Just financial disclosure is doing that.
Yeah, and that is for policy making.
Right.
That'd be us.
Right.
Policy making. So that's all I have. That's all the time I can give.
Okay, and then the special commission is not meeting tonight. They
I
are
don't
meeting
believe
next
so.
week
Right.
and the week after, from what I understand.
So why don't I let you hand out, that's, if you pass one to Pat, that's sort of the draft final version of the budget. We can talk about that after the tour a little bit. It's about, the good news is it's balanced. It's about a $23,580,000 budget. I say draft because I still have to fine tune some capital numbers a little bit. Of course, the capital is funded with bond issue revenues. So if anything goes down, the bond issue revenues will go down as well. So both sides will remain balanced. I think pretty much on the general fund side, it's all set. There's not any other adjustments that I have to do. Everything that I can think of on my little note sheet, we've sort of taken care of. So, let's see, just to review some of the things that we didn't do, of course, is as I mentioned last week, we didn't do the mileage allowance increase. We weren't able to fit that in. We did include the sort of regional services, Open Cape coordinator. We included some funding for that, $75,000. I did include $20,000 for a study on the dredge. You know, there's this question about a second dredge. This would allow us to hire someone to do some work on whether there's the ability for towns to support it, whether there's work out there, whether there's the potential to use the dredge for sort of environmental projects rather than perhaps the normal dredging projects, that type of thing.
An additional question would be, and has been raised by some, that could we expand the use of the dredge so that it could be, we could offer the service off Cape if, in order to support an additional dredge?
Yeah, well, also we've done that with the existing dredge. Not often that we do it, but we've done some work on Nantucket. I think we've done some work on the South Coast, the Massachusetts, those types of things. So it's not very frequent.
When we give the charge to whoever has been responsible for doing the consulting with regard to this, I guess we should talk to them about making sure we cast a wide enough net.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sure. And John did include in the facilities budget some funding for sort of shoring up the exterior of the barn at the farm for $70,000 of that. So we do have some money in there for that. And that's sort of, I think those are the things that we sort of had on our focus to do.
It sounds like we're trying to protect what we have.
Yeah. And you know, of course, we did pull back on the revenue pieces for the deeds. I think that was an important piece, and at the same time sort of preserve the services that we're offering. Not lay anybody off, we're not doing that.
So actually, our bottom number is 5.6% less than this current year.
Correct, yeah.
Which is $1.4 million less than last year's budget, in terms of expenditures.
Right.
You could say that we're doing everything we can to hold the rein on.
I think it's important to do that.
And I think it's important for people to know that. I'd like to move to the recess to do the tour. If we're all done.
Okay. I'll second. Recess. So we will be in recess while we do it.
We're not, that's fine.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So you're not looking
I can't look, we're just asking for.
These are the people that actually do the work. We're now in the basement level. We just passed the entrance to the Information Technology Department.
The loft is supposed to be over there.
There was a loft here, wasn't mezzanine, no. There's a total mezzanine going across, about the height of the top of that board. Right. That'll be coming in. So the lab, the new water lab will be in here. Main entrance will be there.
John, this is all work that is being done in-house, right?
It's all, most of it's being, I shouldn't say no, it's contracted out.
Okay.
What we can do in-house, we're doing in-house.
All right, now the room that we were just in was done in-house.
That's all in-house. Well, we go that way. Everything in the main building is mostly in-house. We've taken care of. This is under contract. The water lab, as I say, will be in here moving up from Superior. There'll be a set of stairs there, a chairlift there, which will be taking people up to the mezzanine, which will be a wide open area for offices, for conference rooms. There'll be windows going everywhere around. It'll all be taken off, the whole roof's coming off. Same height, everything's staying the same, but it'll be a combination of skylights and windows, and so it'll be all bright. But
Are
hopefully,
these like the foundation pads?
these are the pads to support the mezzanine, which is all steel mezzanine, and it'll be over there will be where the toilets will be. There are different showers, emergency showers that have to be as part of the lab.
You gonna keep the stations at the cross?
Yes.
Is there a working timetable?
Well, we like to say soon, but we're looking at having this done, probably having the main area done, everything closed up, everything sealed up, will be over the next 8 weeks to 12 weeks.
That's soon.
Well, we've got all our contracts out, everything is starting, it's sort of been putting everything together, so now the work is really going to start. All the underground, everything underground is already taken care of, under the floor, the slabs. The heat is, all the ductwork for the heat is in, that was going under the floor. As you can see, all the piping is in for all the different stations that the lab has. So in fact, the sewer is all in, the power is in. Here where he's got for storage for the county records. That was taken out of the old freezer area and the old meat locker. We took out and opened windows up and put things in. So you'll see a difference there. We'll work down towards John's space, continue on into where the DEP is, in another conference, what was a conference room area. Then down into, just to start on the east wing, where we're putting in a group for Mashpee for doing urine testing in that area, and then we'll be going up to the next level. As we go through the old building, you'll get a sense of what's happening there. The last part of the tour will be the south wing. The south wing represents about 15,000 square feet on 3 levels. And you'll get a sense of kind of the vastness, if you will, of what potential you might see.
Storage. Wow.
Now, the reason that I'm kind of showing here, even if you haven't seen it, again, it was the old meat locker, and it was, what you're looking at is a space of what you can do with spaces that are, when we go into the other sections of the building that have not been treated yet,
Right.
you're going to see, it's going to be kind of tough looking. Jack Mead is using this for storage, and they're already starting to load up the files at the end for the registry of deeds.
These are great files.
Are these the little files?
Yes.
That's what he got from the state.
Yep.
That's how we bought them.
From the state?
Remember he was talking about the state has
So they
a
pull
capital
out?
fund.
No, you have to go down. Each one moves.
There's your paperwork, boys.
Don't go too far.
Nice to see you.
Don't go too far, he says. Where are we going now?
Don't go too far. This is the hub. This was, there used to be a meat locker.
Wow. Some close-up shots.
So, well, we've been working diligently over the past 3 to 4 years. When we formed the IT department just 6 years ago, we had, a server in the commission, we had a server in finance, we had a server in the health lab, and other people didn't even have stuff. So we've inherited all this legacy equipment, and we've been migrating it department by department, first into Blade servers, and then into Blade systems, we launched our storage area network earlier this year, which there's something like 8 to 10 terabytes worth of storage in here.
The VM center.
Yes, exactly. Yep. And we launched a whole network attached storage system here, which is for online backup. So during the day, there's 6 to 8 terabytes of data that can be backed up onto this network attached storage system, attached directly to the SAN. It's really much more cutting-edge technology, certainly, than the old boxes. And we hope within the next year to actually be retiring all of these. You know, and then as we continue to migrate, of course, not only do we have better storage for people, more storage for people, all of this stuff is a ton more energy efficient than what we were doing in the past. John set us up with dual cooling, so that obviously if the unit fails, we have an option in here.
It's climate control.
Yep, yep. And
It's a little dusty.
Yeah, I know, I was thinking that too. How do we keep the machines clean and...
yeah, that's a constant. That's a constant effort.
Right.
And obviously, there's new equipment ready to be rolled out to help us with that stuff. So, and there were also some issues with.
Radio, much different than when you were stuck in our little
They're real brains, I think, kind of.
skunk works.
Now they said, now you want to save it, so you do a saving throw.
The IT help desk,
Oh, yeah.
being very efficient today.
Of course.
Where the real work gets done.
Absolutely.
As I was following
It's in the genes. Yeah, I know. I can only thank my parents. Yeah.
Really?
In ponds. In ponds, yeah. The old standby. Not ready to be photographed.
Victim center release, Steve.
Yeah.
He's here.
This
Where
is
are
a
we now?
tour.
Oh, you're gonna catch it working. We're looking at all the space.
This is where the DEP is.
Wow.
This used to be the old dining room. Okay. So we got everybody, or are we losing them along the way?
No, I think they're coming.
Okay.
At least it's not dark.
We put a,
That's why it's empty before it gets any.
A little break room for your county employees.
Looking at it. Well, this is
this section down here, once we went through that door, you've come into the east wing. The east wing has not been redone. We are working in this area for the Mashpee Mental Health Group that's going to be doing P-testing in these rooms in here. This used to be the solitary, padded cells and that kind of thing. So we've been working in these, bring people into here. The gal who sits here will be able to see who's in there.
There's counseling.
Yeah,
that's what- yeah.
Two desks in
It's not a
here.
detective agency. No.
Solitary cells, showers, brought them in, brought the business into here. In here was the laundry, and this is now storage used for Cape Cod Commission, I think, as part of this. Yeah, we did. So that program ended, and Cape Cod Commission has that.
The storage room for the Cape Cod Commission.
Stuff they did. I noticed that there's no. Maybe a water board on the corner.
This is all your stuff.
But in this room is heated and controlled by,
You don't know.
I don't know, there's storage space at the moment.
North St. Jean Drive, that's a tech park.
Now we're in the second floor of the east wing.
Yeah, at least,
This is,
if not worse.
why they call it the old jail. That would have been your accommodations.
So they used to put 2 in each cell.
Two? But these cells, it was more of a dormitory, so these...
The other side was a dormitory, so there were no cells.
But the walls in between here can be broken down, they're not
If you
structurally,
look right
it's not
here,
done.
well, right here,
2 guys in here. That's pretty tight.
They only know
the Shawshank Redemption. Sit there and do that.
Yeah.
I've gotten different prices for getting all this stuff out of here, so you'd end up with a shell.
Yeah.
And it would be essentially identical to
the
what
others.
was here that purchased and stationed to go into.
That's how old this place is. It's actually a payphone.
This is where the Medical Reserve Corps, and when we get interns, they'll be here. They are here. Small conference room here really doubles as a training area for CPR when the Medical Reserve Corps has pretty much monthly training, sometimes every 2 weeks.
And the junior MRC.
Yeah, junior MRC is here. And anytime, as I said, we have an intern here.
Pharmacy, Health Sciences.
We're working on this very
Nursing.
public health initiatives over right around the other side, and that office is in there. It's a smoking
There's
program,
pharmacy
the
components in
smoke cessation program. Bob Collette and one of his staff lie on there, and then you cut through, just to orient yourself, you came through that door, which was linked to the room, which is Candelara's program. So then,
Where was that door we came through? Out here?
yep, no, it was right through there
Right
on
through
the other
here.
side
Oh,
of that.
okay.
And then you took, it looked, sounds like you went downstairs.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, we've already been.
Yeah.
Oh, maintenance.
Nurses, public health nursing office right here. Receptionist office right there.
Yeah. Oh, I remember that.
Oh, yeah.
You got that office right away.
This office here?
With the water view.
Yes, he's got the best view.
Yeah, I even have an old wastewater cabinet right there that I use.
Not that you're ever in there very much, huh?
Usually in the field with it. So. And then, are you gonna want to go upstairs? Yes. Okay. So, Sean and I will be coming on over there. Oh! The landfill monitor. And it's
And then the cell with the water view on that
right.
end.
Yeah.
This office here where it's rock. We also have all the fires.
Yeah.
So these are all cells right along here, which right now we use for stores and things away from the building. There's a nice corner office down there over here, which you saw, but it's a cell. Yeah.
This is the old chapel that was acquired upstairs?
Yeah, that was the choir loft. And then you went up there, and then the chapel part was here, and the seats.
Yeah, I remember it well.
And you remember it well, were you in here?
I remember, yeah.
And then on the other side there, the little altar or raised area where I'm imagining it's probably where the pastor or whatever preached.
We're up there.
Yeah, I could do it from up there, but I think the choir was up there.
All right, so this is where you are now is in the main core of the building. This is what we've done. We've restored it, if you will, or renovated it. We'll go out this door, we'll go down one flight, work our way around, and then go into the south wing. There's 15,000 feet that way. That is open, and we can look at that.
Is that somebody in Falmouth?
Yeah. He did run Barnstable's.
I think the circumstances of this was left in.
And I want to show you, the chapel is right there, that door. As you can see, these are different offices that they used. You have the cell areas which go down, we can go down the other side, walk down there.
This is where we got the chairs.
Yes. There are different offices.
Segregation here.
That's the main hall for just feeding and plumbing. Then you have the cells down here.
Those are the things you see in movies with escaping.
I think at one point they had over 300
Bunk, toilet, sink.
Then you would end up with this wide space, which is about 3,000 feet. Yeah, no, actually it's 5,000, I'm sorry, it's 5,000 feet.
Yeah.
There's 15,000 feet in the 3 floors.
Yeah.
So you end up with opening up, there's all kinds of light, as you see, and of course you change the windows.
When's the last time someone was housed here?
4 years ago, 5, no, when was it? When did the sheriff leave? 5 or 6 years ago?
Yeah, but he didn't have inmates since 90, blah, 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 when did they move?
2004?
Yeah.
2004, I think. They
Yeah,
moved inmates.
yeah, that's it.
Different light. So you
Yeah,
see-
you must have said something about these. Can you move these, or would they?
Yeah, you can take them all out.
Right.
You could have, take a look at this, it's probably the best site.
So once again, you need a little imagination, but not a lot in order to see what you've done
Yeah.
by changing changing the rooms, changing the windows, dividing up all the irons and molds.
Well, this is what's popular.
I mean, I just, to make it all this interesting. Why don't you tear it all the way down? Yes, but you say leave a piece of something, right? It gives it weave it in there. You might need a little help on that, just to make sure.
Certain pieces that it works out.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, I think
Comes to almost to the jail with the work.
Versus what you're looking at in there, or what it would cost to do a new building.
Right, exactly.
Oh, here we are.
So,
This is smart building.
yeah.
Okay.
This looks kind of professional.
Thank you. That was very
We're not
interesting.
here full time.
We are, we can be.
From now, yeah, I think we should be. It's a lot brighter.
All right, so we're back in recess, and we had a great tour. Wow, I mean, since our last tour, which was probably, what, several months ago,
Yes.
and there's been significant
Yeah.
changes
Yeah.
in,
I don't remember the last time we were, okay.
Oh, it was
It was
at least
within the
6
last year.
months. Yeah, it was within the last year.
I just don't remember, maybe it was early spring or something
Yeah.
last year, maybe. But I know, because we were in the trailers outside, and we were pretty much.
Oh, that's right, yeah, oh, yeah, that's right.
But I think we really have to talk about how we're gonna.
We just talked
Yeah.
about how getting some architectural plans.
I think the first one, we asked John
And
to
just
sort of
having a little
identify
workshop and go
the
over
plans.
Right,
each
we
floor
really
and
need to
space.
do this. Because, you know, I mean, he was saying that, you know, the courts want to take that for storage. I mean, that could be rented as beautiful office space or used as beautiful, and put storage downstairs. I don't see using
Oh,
that.
we're vacating over there in the other building.
I know, or, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
so coming up here at all.
Right.
Things like
It's
that.
right, close and convenient to
Yeah.
them.
So, okay, so we're going to go back to our budget
meeting.
discussion.
Okay.
So we reconvene.
We are reconvened, yes, we are at 11:03, thereabouts.
So you pass that to Sheila, Sheila, if you want to hand those out, you have one. And
Thank you.
Right.
so what I've done based on our conversation last week is sort of compile all of those things and do sort of the first rough cut at the budget. The numbers for the revenues, which you see on the first page, about what we talked about last week. There's probably a couple of adjustments here, a couple of adjustments there on the dredge. I think I had to adjust a number that goes both on both the revenue side and the expenditure side. I think pretty much all the others are pretty much the same. They haven't changed too much. And so you see that we're anticipating revenues of $23,580,850, which is down 5.65%. Of course, a big piece of that is the Cape Light Compact.
Yes, I just realized that, so it's really not a true
not as big as you
reduction.
think,
No,
exactly.
because the Cape Light Compact is no longer.
It's
a
just
line
off
item.
budget, exactly, right. So, so that's the revenue picture. I did want to say that it's sort of a draft budget at this point in time. I still have to go over some of the capital numbers a little more thoroughly. So those may change, but what I would say is they would change both on the revenue side, since capital expenditures are offset by a bond issue revenue, and on the expenditure side as well. So, and it wouldn't be a significant change. I guess 100,000 at most. But I still have to go through the capital stuff a little bit more thorough. So then on the expenditure side, you see each of the numbers, and they're pretty much as we talked about in terms of making the reductions last week. And just to remind you, the nature of those reductions were really, we took out any of the new requests, especially the new requests for new positions. We didn't fund any new positions in the 2013 budget. And there was a few other things that I had to cut back to on the 2012 levels. We did reduce a few things here and there. But overall, you see again, it's a budget that's 5.6% leaner than last year. Part of how we got to that, is we did have some savings on the health insurance piece. We originally had talked about maybe putting some of that money aside. Unfortunately, I don't think we're in a position to do that at this point in time. Although we did build into this budget, it's in the shared costs, the 25% mitigation fund. We went to the full 25%. It's about 69,000 if I recall. So that's in there as a line item in the shared cost going forward.
Okay.
The other thing that we didn't get a chance to do that we had talked about is adjusting the mileage reimbursement amount. Right now we're at 41 cents, and I think the Fed rate for 2012 is 55. We talked about doing that, but we're just not in a position to do that. I had estimated that that would cost about 50,000 county line to try to do that. We just didn't do that this year. Let's see, what else? We did build some money in, as I mentioned, for the Open Cape kind of services coordinator thing. There's 75,000 in the Office of Regionalization. Maybe we want to change that. Not sure how you want to portray that in the budget. There are some resources in here to do that.
Before you leave that, okay, when you say you're calling it the Office of Regionalization, but then you refer to it as Open Cape, which is it?
Well, Bill, quite frankly, I don't know, I have to say. I don't see how I envision this right now. Open Cape and sort of the e-permitting and e-billing is sort of the first thing down that I see this person or this entity working on. We're going to need some coordination on putting these pieces together. But I can also see that office would be broadened. Maybe assessing becomes a focal point for moving forward. I know we have a report that said it wasn't really doable. I think there's some skepticism around that a little bit, but maybe that's a bad example. There are other things that need to be done regionally that we're going to need people to help coordinate and put pieces together for.
My opinion is that if we went forward and identified it as an Office of Regionalization, I think that might provide the momentum for the e-permitting piece and some of the others, because I'm not convinced that we actually, although it would facilitate the application, I'm not convinced that we should focus all on Open Cape to the detriment of a regionalization effort, which would support the permitting piece.
I think also, Open Cape is kind of a regional service.
It is.
Maybe it could be called just regional services rather than an office. I think sometimes an office implies a person, and it may not be a person.
Maybe.
It just may be something else. So
maybe we should call it regional planning. And I do think that there is a lot of...
That's just
sort of
planning.
taking that name is sort of taken, because the Cape
That is-
Commission is the regional
is the
planning.
regional
Yeah.
planner.
Right, and I do think that as we
So-
go forward on these, that we have to have a conversation with, Dan Gallagher sent us a letter, and we have to respond to this letter, and I did a draft of it on the
Yes.
on the Rust services.
Do you have a draft for us?
Yes, and I don't have it with me because I didn't bring my computer with me, but I was playing with it last night, but it's basically in a response that we do support this. This is all he need, because they have to, if we're not going to take that on, they're
Well,
going to
we
go
have to
forward.
have an agenda item on that, and we need
So I
to
think
do
that
that
we should
pretty
put
soon.
that, let's put
the
that
letter.
on the
Well, I did want to say, that's sort of
It has-
why this is in here,
Right.
because there's that floating around out there.
Rust services.
It just may be bigger than that, is what
Exactly.
I'm suggesting.
And that's why I think that it would be very prudent to have a conversation with Dan, Paul, IT, ourselves, you, and even Cape Light Compact, because they're involved with, there's a lot of different elements that where this can go, and, but we do need to respond to this because they have to start going with
Well,
their.
here's what we need to do. We need to sit down, maybe you and I can do this, we can get Sheila's draft, and then we need to decide what outcomes do we want? What do we want to include in this meeting? What are we looking for? What is the result we expect to have? And then who should be at the table, so that everybody knows what they have to come with.
Yeah.
So that we don't just sit around the
Exactly,
table,
and-
but we have a plan, a strategy.
Right.
We do a strategic plan for having the discussion, is what we do.
Yeah. Okay,
That-
I'm
that's what we
fine
need
with
to do.
that. Yeah, and I think, as I say, the reason I started focusing on is that I've met Dan a couple of times,
Oh,
and
yeah.
he is
I know,
behind
he's
me.
mentioned it a few times.
And, but it's part of their steps going forward, so if we don't come in, they're gonna go somewhere else.
So maybe we could put that on, well, you and I can talk about it later.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how we can strategize to set
Yeah.
up the meeting and maybe have it the week after next.
Just for clarification, what does it mean to go someplace else?
No, they have to start planning their thing, and I think that this is open on who will be looking at doing regional umbrella services, and they have to have that part of their plan going forward. So if we don't say we're the ones that are interested, they gotta have somebody. So
Right,
this
but
is
don't
a
forget-
time issue
Right,
as well as, it's just a
right.
response. We don't have to have
I
it
thought we
figured
were
out.
already committed to support.
Well, we have, but they just needed it in writing. And this is what he's been asking us. We did not send a letter back to his letter in
The
writing.
beginning of all of this is when he
I know.
No,
qualified.
no,
He
no,
sent
you're sort
us
of talking about two different
Yeah,
things.
Right.
We've always been supportive of Open Cape, but then there's this sort of next piece of it. And
Exactly.
it sort of came about, it came up as a discussion at the town manager's meeting in December, and it really was, Open Cape is going to open up a lot of opportunities to do things on a regional basis with technology. And so who's going to sort of coordinate that piece? And that was the letter that she was referring to, that Dan sent shortly thereafter about this sort of, who's going to take this on. And I think, intending to take it on, this is sort of the first opportunity we've been able to show that we're going to have resources to actually do it. You know what I mean? It's easy to say, yeah, we'll do that, but
I think an important piece of this is that he had hired or he has someone that is paying him to be able to access, and I thought that was at the Silver. I thought that he was the one that was basically coordinating the application of the service, because Open Cape, as I understand it, and I heard this from Gary and the others when they made the presentations in Howard, they're putting in a highway, okay, and as far as the ramps, sometimes they pay attention, sometimes they don't, but it's up to people who want to connect to it to look at their responsibility to, let's say, to do that, and DeSilva was the one who was coordinating it. So I think that we need some clarification as to what our role is.
The letter's very
going
clear
forward.
about what he's asking for. We need to have a discussion about what
He
we
sent
want
a
our
letter.
role. Well, get a copy of the letter, and if you don't
I
have
didn't
it,
bring
read
it with
it.
me. I've been
I
bringing it
don't
with me
either.
for 4 meetings now, and then today.
He sent us that at least, 6 weeks ago, if not 2 months
I think it
ago.
was
No, it
in
wasn't that long
January,
ago.
I
It
think
was
it
in
said
January.
January 17th. or
Yeah.
17th.
Really? Yeah.
Because I thought there was
No,
one
it's
that was
early
before that,
January.
maybe he was reissuing it, but the
That's what I
fact of the
know.
matter is,
I could be wrong.
we're setting up a situation where there's a regional coordination point of these different services. And it's our opportunity to step up and say, this is going to be the function of the county, which is a crucial step forward in our looking at ourselves. What are we going to be in the future? And I think it will all come into focus more clearly as we have the discussions with these departments and also looking at the report from the special commission, because you can see this is the direction where it's headed towards technology, it's headed towards being able to be the regional umbrella service. And this is the role for the county, or else I don't see a better role for it, let's put it that way.
I guess that, forgive me, Shelley, because I haven't seen the letter, I don't know what he's asking for, but the concern that I have is that since he's already had to set up connections with, let's say, with companies to do the, let's say, to do the connectivity piece.
This is
Read the letter.
entirely different, though, yeah.
Yeah,
really
read it.
I think Bill's getting ahead.
Yeah.
We sort of, that's the discussion point, is we sort of need to figure out, from our perspective, what it is we want to do, and then how we want to do it. And I don't think we're at that point yet. I think what we can say is, the good news is we sort of have identified some resources for the 2013 budget that we can put towards this, and that's the first step.
You know this down your office?
Yeah, I'm sure you've seen it before.
It's probably in your
We handed
mail.
it out here, and I could be wrong, it might have been in December that he originally sent it, and then sent a second copy in January.
Right.
It's been on the sort of top of the budget item list, and we need to deal with it. I think we have, and that's good. It's good news.
So really, when you look at the budget, it's really only reduced by mostly by the amount of the reduction in the Registry of Deeds tax.
Yeah,
isn't
pretty
it?
much, exactly.
It's really about 450 to
I was gonna say it's about
500,000 less from
400,000.
last
Yeah,
year,
exactly.
right, 400,
Yeah.
less than last year,
That's
when you
exactly
take the
right.
compact out.
Yep.
Yeah, so it isn't a huge decrease,
No,
in a sense.
no.
But it doesn't reflect any new initiatives.
No new initiatives funded in here, really. There are a couple of things in the capital budget. George had asked for some testing machines, I can't think of the right word, testing equipment. So I think he's got about 78,000 in here for that, a couple things in that.
Are we continuing to have that in this budget?
That's in here, that's
Okay,
correct.
because,
in
you
here.
know, it's a very
When
important part of the
when you
service.
say that, what do you mean?
I mean, the 78,000 for the testing machines
Yes.
are something that enhances and supports the services that we're giving.
That's correct, that's in here, that's included in here. There's a couple of other things in here on the capital side that we're doing, both on the IT department and facilities, so we're continuing that. I mentioned earlier, I should mention again, does include some funding to shore up the barn at the farm. John put some money in his budget for that, so that's in here. So there's a few things there, not a lot of new initiatives funded with general fund money, but there's a few capital items in here. And I can go over that next week a little bit more thoroughly.
We are passing the budget in 2 weeks from today,
2 weeks from today.
so we really should have that conversation about the about the Rust services before that, just so that we have that on. Well, we have to have a discussion as we're handing it over to have an understanding with the assembly of what it is we're speaking about, and at least an outline of what we're speaking about. So I think it would be important for us to meet with Dan and with these, just so that we all have that same understanding going forward about what it is we're saying in this budget. That's just my own
Okay, well, I
request.
thought we have some time because
We'll
the
work to
hearings
make that
don't
happen.
take place until afterwards as far as the specific parts.
No, they don't, but
I
I
think
mean,
it would be wrong to go in there and then immediately start to debate the budget as we hand it in.
Well, Pat mentioned 2 weeks, so let's see if we can work.
Yeah, the
that.
15th is 2 weeks from today,
Yeah,
right?
so maybe we can-
Well, we'll see if we can't work this out for next week.
Yeah.
We'll see. Well, I'll talk to
That
Mark
would
and
be
see what we
great.
can put
Okay.
together. On the revenue
Yep,
for this year,
yep.
this is the budgeted revenue for
Right.
2012. What do you anticipate it will be? I mean, is it going to be less than that?
Well, it's going to be less, but again, it's
We
just
don't
like it
know.
was last year.
Right.
You go through a process, it's not a point where it's a panic situation.
No, oh, no, I
People are
realize
not-
that.
we don't need to panic. And what will happen is, the revenues will be down, but the expenditures will be down. There's no question in my mind that through vacancy rates, through those types of things, we won't spend the full amount of money that we've appropriated on the appropriations side of the budget. And that happens every single year.
Yeah.
No different than any other year, where some revenues are higher, some revenues are lower. It's certainly something that we've got to pay more attention to now because of the the impact on the deeds revenues. But it's something that, it's not something that I'm worried about having to cut back on the existing.
Yeah, I'm looking for relationships, like, for instance, our proposed revenue for 2013.
Right.
That is, well, you have to realize that the compact is out of that.
Exactly.
So if you put the compact back in, it would be about 24 million, maybe 600,000. So I guess,
No.
well, the compact, no?
No.
The compact is a
You
million.
did it right the first time. You go back to what you had said originally.
Yeah.
So you look at the difference between the 2012 budget and the 2013
Right,
budget
yeah.
is $1.4 million,
Right.
about of which $1 million is the compact.
And 400,000.
And about 400,000 is the
So I guess-
actual reduction.
So I'm thinking, if you took the compact out of the 24.9 for this year,
Right.
Comes out to about 23.
You
then...
get 23.9.
So what, yeah, you get 23.9, so
Right.
we're really just about $500,000 close, 400,000 less.
Right.
We're actually projecting 400,000 less than this current year.
And that's been accounted for by the bottom line on the proposed budget.
That's what I'm trying to see where we are in terms of this year, next year, and where we are. So when we say we're being more conservative, we are.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, 400,000 is certainly more conservative.
Right, yeah.
Are there any COLAs built into this?
There is a COLA, 2% COLA that we're factoring in, yes. And I included that, and I recommend that you guys include that, because most of the people that you look through are at their max step, so really what we're looking at is a COLA. That's been that way for a few years now. There's a lot of people who've been accounting for a long time.
So you still have to crunch it a little more.
Like I said, I have to work on the capital numbers a little bit. My plan is to bring kind of the final version back to you next week. We can just look at that a little bit. Maybe we can set up a discussion for the regionalization piece next week as well.
Okay.
If not, we can do that on the 15th, and I can kind of I agree with Sheila, sort of, you want to make sure that you sort of know how you're selling it, so to speak.
Exactly.
I don't think it's going to change the number.
No, I'm not out to change the number.
The function.
I'm out about the
Yeah.
presentation
Yeah.
and our rationale.
So that should be in the cover letter then, if we have that discussion.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Because there is a requirement.
Are we going to do a presentation like we did last year, rather than just stand to do?
I think so.
I
sure.
think that's a good
Probably be
idea.
the plan.
Yeah.
And last year, I think I did a PowerPoint.
You did,
just kind
you
of
did
quick
a PowerPoint,
walkthrough
yeah,
about what
which is
the
good.
highlights are and
Mhm.
those types of things. So-
And it does give them an opportunity to ask us questions right then and there about what it is that we're thinking. And then it's one thing about looking at numbers and saying, oh, they want to increase that, and then, well, we're not going to increase that. We don't have the money to do that. But if they understand that there's reasons, it's not just, because we felt like it,
Right.
one way or another, up or down.
Well, I think we did last year, I think we did give.
Right, and I-
Because we were asked to give the rationale behind our thinking.
Yeah.
But it wasn't it opened an opportunity for us to make that presentation. And then when we came back to the to the different committee meetings, I think that was the opportunity, let's say, to defend our rationale. Because I think if we do it directly, they do not have the same level of understanding because they haven't participated, like, for example, today.
Right.
They haven't participated in these kinds of discussions. So I think I think if we did that, as we did last year with our, this is the thinking of the county commissioners with regard to going into this, plus some overall statement about philosophy, I think that was appreciated. It was mentioned, I think, by, I remember Tom Lynch said that he had asked for that and then he had appreciated us doing it because it made it sort of gave him a basis for, for what we were thinking. It was very helpful.
And also their participation in it. I mean, their commitment to the same goals that are county regional goals.
Well, I think the main thing I think we'll face, in my opinion, is that we will face some attack on, let's say, the origin and support of our revenue figures. We've already been told that by several assembly members that they are looking for some confidence in what we're proposing. So I think that's a really important piece of your presentation as to what the basis of prediction is.
Probably the latest numbers from Jack would be helpful too.
Yeah, we'll have those. I mean, you'll have those later on today for January.
For January, right.
Have you had that discussion with Jack about, let's say about coming up with a number that when we go forward?
Not yet, no.
Okay, because I certainly don't, I think the biggest problem we had last year was 2 separate channels of communication. There needs to be one, and I think that avoids a lot of the confusion and what I'd call
It's called agreement.
anxiety.
If we can come to
Well,
an agreement on the numbers before they go over, then that makes it a
Because
lot
I think
better.
that was the basis of a lot of the discussion we had last year. So, and we both Jack and Mark.
Well, and I mean, a couple of members of the Assembly even mentioned that their issues are going to be on the revenue side. And if they can agree with us on the revenue projections, then they won't have any problem with the rest of the budget.
Clearly,
Essentially, for 2 members, I think.
clearly, if we can, if not guarantee, have a high level of confidence in what we're saying we're having in the end, and our budget basically is balanced, then there shouldn't be any problem. There might be some opinion in terms of policy as far as where we are recommending what we're doing based upon what we feel will carry out our policy, because that's what a budget does. At that point, we would then face an assembly that is trying to take over our role at the end of the story.
Okay.
So that's all I had on
That's
the
all you
budget
have?
for now. Yeah.
Okay.
I think I covered all my little notes here.
So the Assembly scheduled today?
Yes.
I didn't look at it, did you?
I did not look at it.
Anyone look at
I
it?
do
yet?
have some changes.
Oh, do you? Oh, good. I was hoping you would. They're having a regular meeting at 5, right? I mean, 4. Why do I think it's 5? That's tomorrow. Do they have any hearings today?
There's having the hearing at 3 o'clock
At
on
3
the supplemental that's what I know of. On the supplemental for
Okay,
the,
and the supplemental was just $600,000 for improvements in the building. It's not.
for the health lab relocation.
The health lab?
Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's out of
and that's
the-
capital.
Yes, I put that there.
No, it's not capital.
Oh, it isn't capital?
No, we're taking it out of the building reserve.
Building reserve, and it's money that was somewhat, I mean, we've already gone forward, it's either this year or next year. I presented it, I submitted it last week, and
Couple weeks ago.
I told them what this was, and that, we're in the process, and we could wait and have more, have things cost us more money, or we could do it now, and,
Well, I think the main point to get across is that this is for a specific purpose.
Right.
There's no, what do you call it, addendums or
they didn't seem like
attachments.
they had an issue, they seemed like they got.
There was one
they
that
got
did.
it.
Well, don't forget, I think
There's always
there's sort of a number of reasons to do this. I think the health lab is in completely inadequate space. All you have to do is kind of go down there, tour around and look and see what they're doing. And do they make do? Yes, they may do, but this is an excellent opportunity for them to sort of relocate, I think, expand their potential for revenue development, especially in some of these new areas that George has talked about. But it's also sort of vital for our tenant in the Superior Courthouse, and that's the court facility. They have a couple of needs that opening up that space in the basement will allow them to satisfy. Some of them, including the sort of, they have a vision for a sally port, they have a vision for some holding space for the people who are at court. They need to do some improvements there. So it opens up that whole potential for the Superior Court as well. And that's a key piece of this that we can't undersell, even though it's not the county that needs it. The Superior Court does.
The Superior Court really does need it, and this is something that's been ongoing, and they need that to bring
judges
prisoners.
and Scott have been numerous times at my office, kind
years.
of,
Yeah.
reminding me about the importance of this stuff for them. And I think we recognize it.
Does that include the entrance and exit for the prisoners?
Yeah, and I do want to mention, the funding that you're talking about proposing does include paying for it. The courts are very aware, they need to pay for it themselves, and they recognize that, and they're sort of taking care of that in their own budgets, but it opens the opportunity to do it.
The other point that they make is if you go upstairs where they're like a briefing room between a counselor and a plaintiff. The holding room for women upstairs is pretty bad. There's a lot of things that need to be upgraded in that courthouse just to make it 20th century, never mind 21st century. So we need to be able to help that, but also we should also, as we're doing a scheme for this building, there could be some of those cubbyhole offices that would be perfect for attorneys and clients if they choose to utilize that. But I wouldn't save them for that if they didn't want to be part of something up here.
Yeah, that's up to them, yeah.
I mean, or they could just renovate the area that's upstairs and make it more private.
Usable.
Yeah, in private, because now they're just over cubby sections.
Yeah.
You
That's
can
up to
hear
them.
what everybody is saying about each other's
This
case.
is kind of key to getting all that started, is getting help.
Yes, I absolutely agree.
What's the target date for them to be moved?
Well, we don't have a target date yet. As you heard John say, the building envelope, we have all that bid out, all of that's, taken care of. That should be done. He said 8 weeks. I give him something more time for him. But so remember, we had this discussion. So we knew that sort of in the spring, we would be at a standstill barring some other money. The question that I sort of brought to you was either we can do it now or do it in the new budget. It was sort of close. And I think correctly, you guys had said, let's do the supplemental now, why wait, let's go forward, move it. We use the building reserve money, that's what it was there for, we can put it aside. So this won't hold it up at all. My guess is from the time that the supplemental is passed, all the RFPs and bidding that need to be done for the interior work are completed. If we get the work done by the end of this calendar year, I think we're doing really good. So my target date for moving the lab in would be calendar year 2013. That's my guess. If it happens sooner, great. If it happens a little bit later,
Now, if we didn't use that building fund money now, and we said we'll wait and do it after July 1, what would be the source of that?
Same.
But that's sort of, it'd be the same thing. That's cash sort of in the bank. That's part of our reserve funds that we had set aside years and years and years
Yeah, for
ago.
this purpose.
For this, well, for a
aid
building
or similar,
purpose, yeah, exactly.
So we would have used the money in July as opposed to now, so what difference does it
We
make?
would make it part of the budget.
It wouldn't make any difference. You're absolutely correct.
Okay.
Other than there is a delay and then costs.
And then, then everybody has to quit working.
Right.
And then
Right.
it comes to a
The
standstill.
concern was, that everything moves great, like John says, 8 weeks, and then all of a sudden we're all sitting there waiting.
Yeah.
because we
Right.
got the money. So
Waiting for
that was
it.
the correct decision. There was no reason.
No, I absolutely agree with
So that's the supplemental
Now,
assembly.
would George be there for any reason?
George and
He is
John are
coming?
gonna be there,
Oh,
yeah.
good, that's great.
George and John.
Yeah, so he can be very specific about it.
Yeah, George is very good about it. He does a good job. He's a
Rather
good
than
public
Obviously, we gotta
asking
be
me
to-
questions I can't answer,
Yeah.
because I don't know about the lab equipment. What does it look like? I don't know. They're like Bunsen burners,
It'll be good to get them.
Microwave spectroscopy.
Right,
Well, it'd be good to offer, them to go and
Yeah.
for a tour, see what
I
it looks like now.
have that on my list of
Yeah.
things to say, that they really should do that.
Yeah, and even in here, it looks, come a long way.
Really
John's
like
done a
these
good job.
windows. They're very nice windows.
It's a very pleasant space.
I think there's some opportunities
They don't want
here.
it being in a closet.
There's some opportunities here if we want to take them. I know, we talked about the commission because the commission's paying rent, so there's sort of a, that takes care of a revenue for them, so to speak. But there's some opportunities in here.
Very definitely.
But you sort of can see what can be done.
I was very enthusiastic about the point that John was saying, that it's not as hard as it might appear to get those cells removed and get into open space.
Right.
Let me ask about parking up here. Now, right now, it's nothing really organized in the way of parking. And at this end of the building, there's a lot of the construction stuff up there.
Right now, yeah.
But what would the parking look like, say, when there aren't construction people, what could we actually do? How many cars could actually park up here? I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Is there a parking plan to go
I don't
with
think
the?
there's one from up here, but I can look for one.
If there is?
I can actually answer
can answer that question?
Yeah, I met with Sharon Rooney, Joanne Buntage yesterday about the village. Because really, as far as, the village wants us to do all kinds of things, and that's, and long ago, Joanne Buntage said to me, this is all great, but, there's town, we have to coordinate with the town, what's the town, and so they have a little bit of work to do, the village, but we still can look at the low-hanging fruit is to be able to change the signs by, John is going to submit this to the historical village, West Barnstable Historical, so he just puts that in there. I guess he deals with them a lot, just to approve the P sign saying that it's public parking, and it is. So then there's this discussion. It is actually looked at as public parking. You can't say that the public cannot park in this area back here ever until 4 o'clock because it's designated public parking, I guess. But this is something that has to be discussed. However, after 4 on weekends, especially in the season, this is where it's huge because there's not enough parking down at the harbor, so that's why they want to be able to have this. The other thing is we started talking about the increase of staff all around the complex, the increase of the potential of this being grown, some of it rented out, some of our own office space. How do we look at that? The commission has done 2 studies of the parking in the last 8 years. They're digging those out. They're going to dust them off, take a look at them. Is there anything new? And so they're actually going to do a parking study of this entire complex here. So that's what they're picking up on. And then we'll just look at how we can maximize whatever the use is on weekends for the village. And then the village has to coordinate their plan with the town for it to have a little bit higher priority on their own. But that's their dealing with the town planning. So so we're doing, we're kind of going forward. I'm not going to say anything more until I hear back about the signs and that sort of thing. But as far as that little section was
So you
concerned,
didn't talk to John? He's waiting.
John was there. No, John was at the meeting.
Oh, he was there.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah,
right.
so
He
he's
was
all
around.
set. So he
on board.
and Tabitha, who was with the Cape Cod Commission, are going to be following up on some stuff and getting back to us on that.
on the parking plan.
On the parking plan. So the parking plan's pretty much done, and he also got them all this, with the CAD, what is that? CAD, what's it called?
CAD system?
Oh, yeah.
The CAD
Oh,
system.
it's a design.
It's all the pipes and all of
No,
that?
it's a design system.
It's computer-aided design. That's what it is.
Computer-aided design, okay, so he actually had all those, they couldn't locate them, so this is great news and they can go forward faster.
Is there even a capacity for this building? I mean, in terms of,
274 inmates.
Right.
Yeah, they didn't bring their
When you
cars.
had so many square feet per person.
For
They didn't have-
for
I'm
judges
sure there has to be some sort of a
Let's see,
building
the
capacity.
total employees is 299 right now, so we'll be in good shape.
Yeah,
Well,
there's
so you have 275 and 299.
there's a way to
it's like
figure that out.
600 people.
There's like
Yeah, by square
footage,
feet, yeah.
blah, blah, blah
Right,
thing, yeah.
right.
Depending on how-
So they're going to be taking a look at that.
But don't forget,
Our FTE
see,
is 179, so we could find space for all of us.
there may be 1 or 2 additions because the septic betterment program has expanded a little bit. But we haven't really, it's not an addition. Because what happened was, well, the health lab used to be down there. Well, now they're up here.
Right, right.
And
Oh, yeah, I
IT
understand
used
that.
to be down there, well, now they're
Yeah.
here. So it's not, it's sort of moving things around.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, and actually, it's moving things around so that you alleviate parking where it's in high in demand, which is down
Right.
there, and sort of move the employee parking up here
Right.
where the demand is not.
What is that Quonset hut back there? I've forgotten about that.
I
What's
don't
in
know,
there?
actually. That's a good question. I meant to ask.
There was a Quonset hut that was used for inmates for a while, and the judge told them they couldn't use it anymore.
I just was curious.
But there isn't, I think they're using it for,
Boot camp.
Yeah.
but I think the one that's out here now, I think they're using it for the construction, like equipment, some of the construction.
If I can just follow up on one other thing about the plan of, you're moving the employees. The other thing that they noticed, like on probably both of the plans that were generated, is that there has to be a little bit more pedestrian-friendly connection to so that people can be here, so it's stable, because, you know, if you leave here, you're really walking down the driveway to go down there.
Right.
How can we have these pedestrian sidewalks that lead you right out to the business section, to each thing, so they're gonna get that together.
Yeah, and that
So
would
they're
be
already-
nice to be able
Well,
to.
you could sort of envision it linking to that walk through the walk to the sea, or whatever they're calling it, where you could kind of just continue that, and continue right up the hill, and right back down around towards 6A that links up with the harbor, you know what I mean? You can have kind of a whole loop that would go from the harbor up the hill here, right in front of it, right here, and down back to the harbor.
And then
It'd be nice.
it could be redone with angle parking, where you get more spaces. With
Yeah,
angle,
yeah,
you
there's
do
a bunch of
straight
things.
in.
Yeah, they've
There are a lot of things
gone
that
through
could be done.
both things, and it's not that much more you can create, but then there's also, you know, then you look at if you wanted to maximize parking space and still maximize open space, do you have like a parking garage built in somewhere? And then you have to deal with the historic, you know, so there's a lot of barriers you gotta jump over, or
We could put a
people.
wood facade on the parking garage, or shingles, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you could make it look nice. Yeah, it could
Where-
blend in
depending on what you
character.
do.
Right, exactly, so those are things that they were talking
The parking
about.
garage is something
You
that
gotta
we
develop
very
it,
seriously
and
look
do
at,
that.
because that gives you the opportunity of putting office space above the parking garage, and that you can incorporate an expansion, you know, on the same footprint, and, you know, and let's say, and alleviate what I'd call the demand, the high demand times for parking, if you know, if you get more districts.
And if there, yeah, that's another, we don't have to.
could
Yeah,
charge.
you could charge, that's what I was saying.
Deviating into the
charge.
silly.
I know, it is deviating, we're going into too much detail, but I just wanted to,
They have it every other
this.
We're having
courthouse in
flights of
Massachusetts.
fantasy, is what we're.
Yeah, okay, so, I'm done.
So,
All right, I think we,
one thing I did want to mention, so follow up on Sheila, and your kind of angle parking, and I think in the main section of the parking lot, one of the things that we can do short-term would probably not cost that much is repaint the lines,
Yeah,
because I think
right.
it's very inefficient
It
down
is.
there. I haven't really looked at it too much
Yeah.
recently, but when you get faded lines, you get people parking so that they have, you know, 10 feet between cars. and
Exactly.
It becomes very inefficient, so we can probably improve our parking efficiency just by
Yeah.
painting lines.
Right.
So.
good. Anything else? If not, we adjourn. We don't go in recess anymore, right?
That's right.
We do?
Right.
So a motion to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn until we reconvene at the assembly.
No, we don't.
No, we don't reconvene.
Oh, we're not reconvening, we're just,
We're just adjourning.
oh, that's correct,
We
because
just
it's just
go
gonna be
and-
you, because
yeah.
we're not having a meeting
So
or discussion.
I'd move to adjourn.
Yeah, second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, unanimous.